On a freezing January night in 1961, a strategic B-52 bomber suffered a catastrophic failure. The aircraft broke apart mid-air over the sleepy town of Goldsboro, North Carolina. Two massive 4-megaton thermonuclear weapons suddenly broke free from the disintegrating fuselage. This mishap released destructive power capable of vaporizing a massive chunk of the coast. We investigate a terrifying close call that nearly altered American history forever. The B-52G Stratofortress, call sign Keep 19, circled above Wayne County just after midnight. Its mission was routine until a sudden fuel leak poured more than 5,400 gallons from the right wing in less than 2 minutes. The imbalance grew severe as the bomber dropped toward 8,000 feet, the crew fighting to keep the aircraft steady. Structural failure hit without warning. The right wing gave way. In the chaos, Major Walter Tulloch shouted the order to bail out. The airframe broke apart in the freezing darkness, scattering wreckage and releasing both live Mark 39 thermonuclear bombs. Captain Adam Maddox, the co-pilot, managed a desperate escape through the top hatch, a feat unmatched in B-52 history. As the bomber disintegrated over rural fields, the situation shifted in seconds from mechanical malfunction to a fight for survival, with 2 nuclear weapons now falling toward the earth below. Each Mark 39 thermonuclear bomb, falling from the disintegrating B-52, carried a yield of nearly 4 megatons, roughly 250 times the power of the bomb dropped on Hiroshima. But the danger was not just in the size of the weapon, it was in the way the bomb responded to its environment. Released from the aircraft, the bomb's arming sequence began as if it were a deliberate wartime drop. A mechanical lanyard pulled taut by the separation triggered the internal timer. Barometric sensors measured altitude, confirming the bomb was falling from high enough for its design. At the right moment, a parachute was meant to deploy, slowing the descent and giving the weapon time to ready itself for detonation. Inside, environmental sensing devices responded to the forces of freefall and the sudden deceleration of the parachute. Each step, each switch, was engineered to move the bomb closer to an armed state, provided the correct cues were met. In the darkness over North Carolina, the bomb was not simply tumbling. It was following a predetermined sequence, one designed for a nuclear strike, not an accident. The system behaved exactly as it was built to do, unless something intervened to stop it. The first bomb, drifting down beneath its parachute, landed in a muddy field just north of the crash site. Recovery crews found it largely intact, its olive casing streaked with soil, but otherwise undamaged. When Air Force weapons specialists opened the bomb for inspection, the initial relief faded. The internal arming sequence had advanced far beyond what anyone expected from a simple accident. 5 of 6 safety devices, each meant to block the path to detonation, had failed. The mechanical lanyard had triggered the timer. Barometric and environmental sensors had responded as if the bomb were on a combat drop. Even the final internal safeties, designed to require precise conditions before allowing a nuclear explosion, had been overridden by the violence of the breakup. Only a single cockpit-controlled, low-voltage switch known as the T-249 arm safe remained in the safe position. Years later, Parker F. Jones, a senior engineer at Sandia National Laboratories, reviewed the classified file and wrote that one simple dynamo technology, low-voltage switch stood between the United States and a major catastrophe. The bomb had come within a single electrical decision of unleashing a 4-megaton explosion over North Carolina. The second bomb followed a different fate. Without a parachute to slow its fall, it plunged into the Faro swamp at nearly 200 miles per hour. The impact tore open the casing and drove the bomb's core deep into the mud, far beyond the reach of recovery teams. Crews worked for days with heavy machinery, digging through waterlogged peat and unstable ground. Augers and probes disappeared into the earth, but the bomb's plutonium core remained out of reach, buried as much as 200 feet below the surface. Radiation monitors registered only trace amounts at ground level, but the weapon itself could not be brought back. In the end, the Air Force sealed the site and placed a permanent easement over the land, forbidding any digging or construction. Part of a thermonuclear weapon was left behind, entombed in the North Carolina soil. The accident did not simply end with recovery. It left a physical scar hidden beneath the swamp that remains to this day. For decades, the official record of the Goldsboro incident remained tightly controlled. In the immediate aftermath, the Air Force described the crash as a structural failure, insisting that there had been no risk of nuclear detonation. Public statements avoided technical details, and news coverage relied on the military's assurance that all safety precautions had worked as intended. When Congress addressed the event in 1962, the discussion was brief and vague, mentioning the loss of the aircraft but offering little about the bombs themselves. The most alarming findings, how close the bomb came to detonating, were buried in classified files. Parker F. Jones, a senior engineer at Sandia National Laboratories, documented the safety failures in a memo written in 1969, but that analysis stayed hidden for over 40 years. It was not until 2013, after a Freedom of Information Act request, that Jones's words became public. Only a single, low-voltage switch had prevented catastrophe. Meanwhile, the government quietly secured the land around the buried bomb. In 1967, a permanent easement was established, forbidding any digging or construction and reserving federal access for monitoring. The site remains under annual survey, its boundaries marked by legal deed rather than visible warning. Even now, readings confirm plutonium levels at background, but the invisible danger persists, managed by a web of classified documents, legal restrictions, and routine environmental checks. The true scale of the risk was withheld from the public for generations, preserved only in the administrative paper trail that outlasted the Cold War itself. Nuclear safety still depends on fragile systems and human hands. One switch averted catastrophe. This time, secrets buried in the mud remind us that the line between accident and apocalypse remains razor thin.